Welcome to Job Reinvented Show. Level up your career with confidence. I'm your host, Panta Kakor. Episode 23, Making Bold Decisions and Taking Bold Actions with Tami Mcvay, Business and Lifestyle Strategist. With a diverse background in military, IT corporate job, and now as an entrepreneur, Tami Mcvay helps people make bold decisions and take bold actions. I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome, Tami, to my show.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I love this
Yes, me too.
conversation.
It's so great to see another IT professional here who already done a lot of transition like me. So what did you bring you to this field of entrepreneurship, and why did you leave your IT corporate job?
So when I was, it was in the later years of my corporate career, I kept having this ache for more. And anytime I thought about leaving, I just pictured myself becoming a software developer at another company. So I thought, well, why leave? And then I discovered Marie Forleo and B School and online entrepreneurship. And so I felt like I discovered this oasis, like, oh, there's this other way of people that were living. And so the online space intrigued me tremendously. So I was just absorbing everything I could learn about social media. And so I just found that being in IT, that there were days when I could go write code and not talk to anybody all day long. And so I kept feeling like I was stifling the best parts of me, my people side. And so I just, the last year, I was really stressed out. I was putting in 16, 18-hour days trying to roll out a project. I had 4 friends die in a year. And I just decided life was short and I was going to take a risk and bet on me. And I just gave my notice and shocked everybody.
Wow. Actually, that's, you talk from my heart, because I was in your situation. I used to do coding. I used to have a really great passion about it, because coding gives you this opportunity to activate your brain and use it, because every day there is a new day, you have new problem to solve. And it's so interesting because the same coding is not applied to any program. You can solve one problem in 4 lines, let's say, and another person can solve it in 1 page. And you can write the code in a very messy way and nobody can read it, but you can also write it in a way everybody can read it. So if somebody else gonna modify it, then it's gonna be easier. I learned so much in IT, especially programming, because that helps you to be creative and solve your problems. But as you said, I really believe in it. When you are in IT, maybe in one day you don't see anybody. You just go to your meeting. Some days you don't have any meeting, unless you're working in agile world. As recently, there are lots of agile projects. That's why I was transitioning to agile project manager. So it was much more interactive, because in one day, in the beginning, you start with a daily meetup. So everybody talk about what they did the day before, what they have to do today, It was very interactive. So I had this opportunity to connect with my team much better. But before, when I started programming in 2000, so many years ago, that was like, how many years? 20 years ago. Wow, I can't believe this. So when I started programming that time, I just realized, I can't see nobody. That's just very isolated. I don't see anybody. They just give me the project. I have some time to work on it. There is no connection between people, that's not good, So you need some more connection with other people when you're doing coaching or other online businesses. And another good thing for IT is that you are already familiar to work online, right? Because some days you work from home, so you have this connection with the internet and you're working and that's it. Your office is your home.
Yes. Yeah, I found that because I had been at the company that I was working with for so long, I worked with a great team of people that I really liked. And we had a lot of fun. They felt like family. But I wanted to work more with, like, my clients were accounting and HR and payroll. And I had this really easygoing manner about myself and the way I could describe things to them so they understood the technical side. And so I wanted to do more of that. And I kept getting told that, well, we don't have that. I'm like, well, they didn't have that title. I'm like, well, I don't care about the title. I just want to do more of it. And they weren't listening until I gave my notice, and they gave me more option to choose from. But by then I was mentally checked out and ready to, start my own thing.
So when you did this, did you have another option already, or did you do any courses, anything? Or
Well, I did Marie Forleo's B School, and I had built my website. I had an idea of what I wanted to offer, but I had one client at the time. And what I did is I just went down and I ran all my numbers. So I knew exactly what I needed. And, being at the company for 20 years, I'm single with no kids. So all my security was wrapped up in this company. And I was so nervous about it. And my best friend said, what's the worst that happens? You get another IT job. And for some reason, that wasn't in my mind at all. I just felt like I was throwing everything away to start my own thing. And if it didn't work, then I was in trouble. And she's like, you just go get another job. So it was funny that I hadn't thought of that.
when did you do this?
2014.
2014. You are so lucky, because these days, usually contracts, there is no contract, and it's really difficult to get a job, especially in this COVID. Everything is contract based. Like for my role as a project manager, many things were just contracts. So I work as a contractor, seasonal contractor. The pay was really good, but the contract finished at 6 months. That I had to do another transition to another company. That was really frustrating. So you see, you did the right thing. Like you did whatever your heart's saying, and you start your jump to another like world of entrepreneurship, which is amazing start. It's going to be a little bit exhausting because you have to learn a lot, but as IT professional is much easier because the technical part is much easier to do, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I found that it was, in technology, you're constantly learning new languages or things that, because that's always evolving. But I found it was very different when all of a sudden I was learning something that I wanted to learn. And so I could, dive deep into LinkedIn and how you use LinkedIn or Facebook or, whatever that may be. And I was just like a sponge. It really was a lot of fun. And I forgot how much I thrive when I'm learning.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. I started getting a lot of certification because after some time you feel that your brain is dying. You have to activate it. After some time doing the same thing every day, you try to activate your brain. So that's why after programming, I started having my project management in PMP, and then Agile PMP. Then I went for Scrum Master. Then I went for, it's like too many certifications, especially in IT world. Mm-hmm. And the worst thing with IT, I guess, I know my friends as IT, they understand what I'm saying. This is not the steady job, because it's evolving all the time. you have to learn the software. If you are out of IT, especially as a programmer, after 6 months, there is another world, other softwares, and you have to update yourself. And if you want to go to another company and work for another company, they have other softwares to work, and you have to learn applications, softwares. So in other side of party is just updating. And when you are getting older, it's getting so difficult to update yourself with the technology all the time, isn't it?
Yes, well, that was one of the reasons why I decided I wanted to make a change, is that we were moving into these other technologies and languages that really didn't interest me at all. And so that's when I wanted to move to more of, the analyst and project manager, uh, fully in depth.
Exactly.
And then then they wouldn't do it. So, um, yeah, it's constantly changing. And so even now in the online space, things are constantly
Isn't
evolving.
it?
The
Yeah,
more
yeah,
companies that get on board with things, then that
yeah.
totally changes the dynamics. Yeah.
Especially right now, everyone I see want to do online, some sort of online job and doing a lot of. So but the problem is you have all the information, you don't know how to execute it, how to put it on a safe and great online making money coaching program. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, because a
So
lot of people will, they start to learn all these little things and then they just get so overwhelmed by it all and not really
exactly.
sure how to put the pieces together.
So what do you do right now exactly?
So, well, prior to COVID, I was leading adventure retreats as part of my business. I'm a Marine, and I know that a lot of times the things and adventures I've done throughout my life, that's where I've gotten so much of my personal growth. And so I wanted to
Mhm.
be able to give that same gift to entrepreneurs, because you can go to a workshop or a conference and you can take lots of notes, but if you go home and have to do laundry and cook dinner, all your good intentions just go out the window. So to be able to take people and challenge them in ways that scare them, and then have these really great, deep, meaningful conversations about life and business, it gives them the opportunity to really absorb it and come up with a plan, and their growth afterwards is just mind blowing. So that has been fun. And then with COVID, all travel got shut down. And so it's good because it's made me reflect on why I started to begin with, that I was so enthralled by the online space. And so, I'm getting into, creating a course and helping clients get their technologies and get them streamlined so they can, grow into 2021.
So what do you do with your coaching program? What you do exactly do right now after COVID?
Yeah. So when I'm working one-on-one with a client, like I
Mhm.
have certain processes that I've done that allow me to execute. And for me, it's all about lifestyle. It's that big picture in how you're living, because it doesn't really matter what you're doing for work if you're really unhappy with your home life, and
Mhm.
or you could be really successful making money, but then if you're not, feeling satisfied because you're on the verge of divorce, that they feed off of each other. And so I really make it a point to address those different life areas and determine, the habits and the goals that are going to keep moving you forward.
Great. So everybody wants to have a transition to online space. You can help, right?
Oh, yes, yes. And it's fun. I love it. So
Great. So
I did my first Facebook Live or in 2015. And so it's
wow.
funny to watch all these people just getting started on video and their comfort levels. So it's funny because these adventure retreats I've done, boost their confidence. So then all of a sudden when they go to do a Facebook Live and they're nervous, all of a sudden they just remember like, oh, I just did this adventure that was, challenged me. I can do this. So
You are a speaker too, right?
yes, I have done some speaking as well.
Great. So tell me about 3 tips that help entrepreneurs to be successful in entrepreneurship, how to start and how to be successful.
Yeah. So I think even from the very beginning, and then at any point in your journey, it's all about building relationships. Because when I first started, my only connections on Facebook were, high school friends from my high school reunions. And on LinkedIn, it was all the same people I'd been working with at my corporate job. And so I didn't have very many connections. And so to keep, continually putting myself out there, reaching out to incredible women like, hey, it looks like you're up to some great things, and just, connecting with positive driven people. And you never know where it may lead. Maybe you become their client, maybe they become your client, maybe they end up becoming a business partner or a speaking engagement. Like, you really just don't know. And so you had mentioned the term, I think it was before we actually started recording, is about being a super connector, like how
Yes,
powerful
yes,
that is.
they really helped me.
Yep. And,
Yeah.
and so the more people you can know, then it just makes you a much more valuable resource, because that people are going to know they can come to you and you're going to know somebody.
Exactly. I found you through my connections, and all of my connection in Facebook is real. Like, I don't have fake connections. All of them are real. All of them are like-minded people. And that starts when I connect to a super connector. And then he had a very huge network. Through him, I could find a lot of people for my interviews, podcasts. So to be honest, I don't go and find them anymore. Like, we find each other. So I have a lot of booking after that super connector connection. And even after that, then I found another super connector for another network. That's amazing. Like, this connection, I think that's the first thing to grow your business. So I've seen a lot of people try to add their connection through Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, through fake connections like promotion.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's not going to work. What you really need is somebody who is exactly in your area. I'm not saying in your area, in your space, and exactly that related to what you're doing, or you have to know to whom you are connecting.
Yes, I use 3 constraints when connecting with somebody. I make sure that there's somebody I want to learn from, there's someone that I think I can help, or there's someone that I simply think I would want to hang out with. And if they don't
Exactly.
really fit that, then they're not really in my circle.
Exactly.
They can become a follower. But it just really makes better connections. And then I also screen everyone and I ask them why they connected, because then you can
Beautiful.
find out if they just want the numbers, if they really have an interest in you, or they're just trying to sell you. You can learn a lot. And I've also found, when I asked that question, when people were, scouting me out because they were thinking of me to be in a book, or, they wanted to interview me for their podcast. And if you just hit accept, you don't necessarily know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why you have to introduce yourself. When I go and check the profiles for the Facebook, first of all, I see on the top, the topics, what they are doing. Some people don't say anything. So you really don't know what they're doing. So that's why I don't accept it, because I really want to know what this person exactly do,
Yeah.
and can I have a meaningful connection with them or not. So what is the second tip?
Well, actually, before we leave that one, I think because we are talking about the job transition, like,
Uh-huh.
I found for me too, leaving the corporate space after being there for 20 years, I had these corporate blinders on, that the more people I connected with and saw the different ways they had businesses, it kept opening my eyes to what was possible. So I think that can be really helpful too when you're just getting started.
Yes, I have a theory As an IT professional, you know about normalization. Do you know?
Yes.
Normalization database. So in normalization, what you do, you try to simplify tables, and then you remove the redundancy to connect those tables together. And if the connection is loose, it means there is something wrong there, and you have to normalize, go to different levels for normalization. That's how connection works. So you need to have this from one table to another, one table to another. You can have a huge network, but you shouldn't have any loose connection in between. And another thing I learned about the normalization, that's the for the normal life. My theory is, if you look at your dreams very far, so you don't feel normal about those dreams. But when you feel that you are living in that dream, and this is like a normal life that you have, then you normalize that dream, then it's going to be very simple for you. So that's why you have a lot of connection, that these people a bit ahead of you, so you learn from them. But what it really helps you see, these are normal people, they achieve what I want to achieve, so in that space you have more connection that are really really related to you, and it helps you to just grow these tables connected to each others. And from one table to another table, you find all the primary keys. You understand what I mean,
Yeah.
right? All the keys, and these keys are super connectors, creating this connection to grow your network. And after sometimes everything is going to be normalized, so your life is going to be normal as an entrepreneur. But if you keep staying away from these connections and just isolated, doing your codes, doing the same job all over again, you are not even in that space of normalization to go another step ahead and create amazing life for yourself.
Yes, and I know that a lot of people are nervous about reaching out to somebody that might seem further along in business. But a lot of those, really successful people that I've met, they are so happy to share, and that it makes them feel rewarded too, because they're giving back.
Yes, another thing, Tami, I guess this should be a mutual serving. Like
Yes.
what I did for my show and podcast, most of them in my fertility empowerment are included in my book. So it's kind of mutual helping each other. So they are really very, very nice people, dedicated their time, helped me to write this book and to be a contributor, because all of us have one simple goal: helping people to get pregnant. So
Yes.
you see, you can find a lot of people with the same goal, and it's so beautiful when you see this contribution happen in a connection networking.
Yes, yes. And it really helps too, just to build those friendships along the way too, so that
Yes.
when you have a challenging year like COVID, then you have that support system. I just got back from a mastermind, and it was, a small circle of people that we have the same common goal and purpose. And it was really uplifting, and it just refills my cup.
Yeah, I love masterminds. I've been in so many of them.
Yeah.
And every time I've been there, I learn a lot and make other connections. So, second one.
Okay. So the second one, I think, is to experiment. I think a lot of times that uh, they get where they have a vision of what they think they want. I know that was the case for me. I thought I knew what I wanted. And then, you start doing things and I wasn't really enjoying it. And so I had to pivot. So it's okay to pivot. And so even if you create something and maybe it's going okay, you have to keep continuously creating different things, because you never know the thing that's really going to click, it's going to really light you up, instead of feeling like you have to be perfect and you have to have it all dialed in, and you have to have all the answers and know exactly where you're going. Just look at it as a big experiment and give yourself some grace when things don't go right, and celebrate when they do go right, and just keep adapting.
I like that. I have 2 points here.
Okay.
First of all, if you go for perfection, you fail, because then you postpone everything to be perfect. So what happened to me, I'm telling you, first I said, I'm going to have the show and podcast at the same time, but it didn't happen because I waited, and I said, okay, let's just do the show. And then I did it. I'm so happy, because if I wanted to delay, then I never done it. So that's the first one. That, okay, I'm going to get back to what you say. One, can you repeat it? Sorry,
I also talked about just having to be able to adapt, like be flexible, and you may want something, but you won't know if that's really it until you go for it and experiment.
Experiment, about the perfection, but I was going to add another point about this, about the experiment. Okay, what I learned in Agile world was progressive elaboration. So it means, yes, you finish something step by step. So you don't need to have the whole detail from the beginning. So that's way we learn how to do it. One of the problem with entrepreneurs is that I'm going to have the complete funnel. I'm going to do this. I'm going to have a big email list. But come on, one step ahead, just one step, and then you just go further and further with your experiment.
Yes. So I started doing 90-day goals for that reason, because then that way I can focus on something and I can accomplish it. And then I don't have to have all the answers. I don't have to have the long-term plan mapped out. I have a rough idea of the vision, but at the end of those 90 days, then I can determine if I want to, keep working on that particular thing, or if I want to add in another piece, like, your podcast piece.
Yes. Great. Yes. Third one.
Yes. And then the third one is to be the leader in your own life. Because like I said, my philosophy is work is personal and personal takes work. It really, they do feed off of each other, because you can be really great at what you do, but if you are fundamentally unfulfilled and not happy, it's going to take its toll somewhere. It's going to take a toll in in your marriage or your health. And then if you're focusing all on, your health and your family and your friends, you may not be feeling satisfied because you're not contributing and, making your business where you want it to be. So
balancing.
You have to constantly work on your discipline and self-awareness to make sure that you're moving all things forward. It may not always look pretty, but you're just not neglecting a piece of your life.
As a project manager, I realized, we always had a plan, and I was really good to have a plan. Then I said, okay, do the agile one, because agile is really fast forward, and then you can adapt with changes. And this really helped me for my entrepreneurship, because then I could manage Summit, I could manage my podcast shows, create other connections. And that when you have IT background, especially in project management or as IT leader, then it's much easier for you to have this kind of transition and connect with other people.
Yes, I really have been fortunate, because even when I was in corporate, I was traveling the world with friends. I was really into health and fitness. I was volunteering with charities. And so I had a really diverse background, even while I was still at the same job. And so
Beautiful.
that has really lend itself well in the entrepreneur space, because you're constantly having to network. You have to put your health at first, so that way you feel good. So if you're going to show up on live videos, that you come across as energetic, and you're glowing and you're taking care of yourself. Because this entrepreneur journey, if you're not getting sleep because you're staying up all night working on projects, like it takes a toll on your creativity, and things like that. So I forgot where I was going with that, but just that point of, you're talking about being agile and be able to move quickly and get
Yes,
things done.
agile, yeah. So now go to other three tips that you think that entrepreneurs do and they fail. How can you describe this situation? I know you also had lots of ups and downs in your entrepreneurship path.
Yes. So, it's natural to want to feel like you need to be everywhere, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the different places. And so you're learning all the different things, and, you have a little bit of presence across everything, that it can really lead to overwhelm. And so then they set too many projects and too many goals up, and they're only setting themselves up instead of focusing on just, one or two things and hitting it hard to get it accomplished. So then they feel that sense of reward, because I think they're going too long without getting those rewards. And then it leads to burnout and overwhelm and, questioning every move. And so I think that one thing that I do is I'm creating things, I'm always thinking about how are they beating themselves up mentally, and how can I put data behind it so I can take the emotions out of it. And so, I think I'm always looking at how people are beating themselves up. And so I think because they set all these goals and they're not accomplishing them, they feel like a failure. Then they don't show up on live video. It just feeds off of each other.
I give you a good reason why they cannot achieve their goals, because they are not thinking agile.
Yes.
The problem with the traditional project management was that from the beginning you had the whole picture, which was good, but you cannot plan for 6 months ahead. A lot of things can be happen to your team, or many things in the middle, so you cannot plan correctly. The good thing about the agile, which I loved, first of all, was that give you this opportunity to have a better communication with the team, so you understand your team situation. If one person gonna get the sick leave, that other people can help each other. And from the beginning, the capacity of the team. Let's say they are there for 8 hours, but I always say they cannot work 8 hours. You only go for 60 to 80% capacity. That's it. Because there are lots of things in between. We are not robots. We are human. We take the lunch. We have something in between. There may be a lot of problem with the conflict with the project. So in the beginning, I said, okay, this is your capacity. I know you can work. I can finish it today. I said, okay, but I don't expect you to finish it today. This is your goal. This is the goal to finish. And to be honest, he couldn't finish, because that was his capacity. When you set your goals, you are thinking very optimistic, because you say, okay, I'm going to do it in like 8 hours. No, you have to go and have what I do always. I said, these are my priority list. So I have like 2-3 things per day to do. But these are my bonus. If I could do this, finish my priority list, then I go to bonus. you know, then that's how you have to work with your goals. That's the problem, that entrepreneurs make a mistake because they try to go from this one to that one. They don't finish one thing and then they go to another one, and there are lots of shiny objects out there, and they say, oh, and I'm not saying all the trainings are bad, but how much dig and deep you just dig into it, you know. So you
Yes.
have, they go and finish some entrepreneurship course, something related to funnel or something related to social media, without even implementing it, they go to another one.
Yep.
Yes,
And I find that they tend to underestimate how long something is really going to be. So I
exactly.
use the general rule that we would use in software development is that you keep breaking something down until it's 4 hours or less. Because
Wow.
if it's 4 hours or less, then you can delegate it. Or if you have a short amount of time, you know that you can just get that one little piece done. Uh,
Yes.
yeah.
Another thing I found in my agile world, let's say per day, every day, I had 15 minutes talk with my team. And on the whiteboard, we have those to-do lists, and then progress, in progress, and then done. And my team were responsible to individually go and move their work and task. And then I realized, okay, what happened to that task? That one should be in progress, but it's still in to-do list. Then I go to and talk to my team, what happened to this? And oh, there are some conflicts with another project, or there is another team, or we need to learn something. I said, okay, so don't make it longer than this. Who can help you? I said, okay, this person can help me. Then I pair them up to finish it. Because the problem with IT before was that, okay, I give you this project to do or this task to do. Then she said, okay, that's fine. I will do it. After 1 day, 2 days, did you finish it? No, I will finish it. Okay. How you can finish it? And then after 2 days, when he didn't finish it, I said, okay, don't worry about it. I give it to someone else, you know. But if you track what they do, if they communicate with you, if they give you the bottlenecks and they say, oh, this is my problem, this is where I need help, then everything gonna be yeah, greatly done. And the problem with entrepreneurship, I say, uh, if you know when you need help, and if you know when you need accountability partner or mentorship, that's the best time you join, because you can struggle there forever. This is a loop never gonna be ended until you just have another break point and come out of the loop.
Yes, that was my other point on there too, is like just trying to go it alone to sort of find a mentor, because they can see things that you can't, and to be able to lean on their experience, or especially if they're in alignment with what you value, or maybe their business model is something you admire, like you can move so much faster when you have somebody that is the living example, and can help you get out of your own way.
So what is another tip for entrepreneurship that you think that you're gonna fail?
Well, I really do think self-doubt, I think that crops up at every level, like even from the beginning. But the moment you dial something in and you want to like maybe do your first interviews or something like that, that self-doubt crops up again. And so that is finding ways to push through that. And so if it's something that you struggle with, you keep procrastinating because you have that self-doubt and you sit there and
Like
spin,
it.
that's where it really becomes critical to have that accountability partner or a mentor, just to keep pushing you, especially if you don't have a supportive spouse or partner, or that really understands and can keep giving you that encouragement to push through and keep moving.
Because I've heard about this point from many entrepreneurs. The problem is they're living in somewhere that nobody believes them, because everybody think that's the payroll, you studied for something and you have to continue the same thing every time, and you have to get new contracts. Even if you change your job, same job but another company. So this is the mindset for many people, because they're doing it so they cannot see how entrepreneurs can make money or they can make a living out of it.
Yes, like when I was leaving my corporate job, because I had been there for 20 years and we were all just like this big
Scary,
family.
isn't it?
When I said I was leaving, there's what? And so I had so many of them intrigued by what I was doing because it was so foreign to them. And so even though I had this big network on that side, I couldn't reach out or lean on them because they had no clue what I was doing. They just saw Facebook as, being connected to high school friends. So, you really have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and sometimes knowing that you're going to be the one charging the way, that people are watching. So even though it feels like you're totally isolated and alone, they're watching. And so, you might be the one that turns around and gives them hope.
If you know what you do, and you believe what you're doing, after sometimes people watching you doing something successful, they're gonna believe you. The first day I had my YouTube channel, I didn't have it for 2-3 months. I only had like 70 followers, blah blah blah. And after sometimes it just grow so fast, and then everyone, oh gosh, you're doing very well, you so. And then they are interested to have interviews and watch my shows, but in the beginning it was not like that. So I struggled to just having the better quality show, or trying to find a good interviewees. And my English, I mean, English is my second language, and I'm not perfect in talking like native um, Canadian or American, but I never afraid of talking.
Mhm.
So I said, that's fine. As soon as the information is good, then that's fine. This is my accent. This is my English. you know?
And people will resonate with you,
Yeah.
as long as you're being genuine and yourself and valuable, like you said. I know that when I first started doing live video, nobody else is on there. So, you're like, oh, nobody likes it, and then all of a sudden somebody shows up and you're like, somebody's here. So there's this weird dynamic there. But you just have to, keep going and just know that, when people are watching your YouTube channel or whatever, like they don't have to watch. And so if they're watching, they're interested and at least listening. And sometimes there'll be people that I run into in the grocery store and they'll reference, like, I really like the episode you did on whatever, and you never know that they're there.
Yeah,
So
beautiful. The first day I set up my studio, my husband, what are you doing? I said, I have some dreams. I have some plans. Because I knew I cannot go and work outside. I had a very little baby and I had to take care of her. On the other side, I found it very great opportunity to have an online business started from the beginning. And this room, I said, this room is mine. I'm going to just have my office here and have my studio here. And then I set it up and I started just recording shows one after another. At some point, everybody realized this is my normal life. So I normalize it. You see, after you normalize it, then everything is normal. It doesn't look like weird, But if you, as I said, if you just think that, oh, this is my dream, one day I'm going to do it. Come on, do it. As soon as you start doing it, then you don't have the fear of starting, and then that's going to be broken. You don't have this fear, and then you are one step ahead, and then you are starting to get more connection, to learn, experience, and then everything is going to be normal after sometimes. But if in the middle, you just, oh, I don't know what to do, I'm really afraid, just take it easy. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to be perfect, right?
Yes. Yes. Nobody prepared me for the emotional roller coaster of being an entrepreneur. Because there's really high highs and really low lows, and it's just different. And so when you have to keep finding that everyday courage and keep pushing through, and knowing that there are people out there that are so desperate for you to show up and to hear your message. And it never fails. Like whenever I was in my lowest moments, I would get a message that says, thank you, you've changed my life on the deepest level.
Wow,
And so all of a
beautiful.
sudden, it feels good. It's like, okay, I'm going to keep going, and you have to constantly give yourself those pep talks and remember why you started to begin with.
Tami, I had a book. I published a book 2 years ago, 2018. I can't believe it, just 2 years passed. And then yesterday, somebody from our network, in the PTSD network, bought my book. And then I said, oh my goodness, my book is still alive. And then I went there to my book on Amazon. It's been a long time. I didn't check. And I saw lots of nice reviews. And it really, it really touched me. When you see somebody's life is going to be changed, and somebody reading your message or look at your show, then you don't feel exhausted. You just think that what you're doing is valuable, what you're doing can help another person's life, and that's just amazing.
Yes. And so even if you're, you're setting these goals and you're taking actions and you're doing your things, like you have to take a moment to see those things and really appreciate like how far you've come, and knowing that there are others out there for you.
Yes. Every time I see somebody's going crazy with the workload of their job because they think that they're working for somebody else, I ask them, do you feel happy? Do you really feel happy? Do you think that's exactly what you're gonna do? And then that's the thing I always ask myself. Since 2009, I was thinking about being an entrepreneur. 2009. And now after how many years? 10 years, more, 11 years, now I'm entrepreneur. Took me because, as you said, you think that, okay, I'm not happy being a programmer, then you try to have another transition in that field and be project manager. So you go get another certification. Then you'd say, okay, is that really what I wanted? So it may take time. It may take time. You really find your place and your position, but it works. I mean, as soon as you have a plan, you know what you exactly want to do, and you really enjoy what you're doing. That really helps you.
Yes. I found that, for a long time, I was like you, probably 3 years or so before I actually left is when I, was starting to think about wanting to change. And it took a while. I had to, work my way up to it. But the big thing was I kept feeling like if I leave, I need to replace my corporate salary. Like that was what I felt like I needed. But I sat down and I ran all the numbers, all my savings and investments and where everything was. And I really got a good grasp where things stood. And then I also found that once I left, a lot of the things that I like to do are free if I have free time. And
Wow.
so, you think that, you're trapped by this, 9 to 5 job, and that's all you can see. But if you really run all the numbers and learn everything you can about money, then it can help you make decisions.
Great. So give me a specific recommendation for IT people if they want to choose entrepreneurship.
Well, and see, IT people are really at an advantage. Like we talked about that, being able to pick things up really quickly is helpful. The fact is, IT employees tend to make a lot more money than the average person. And so you can be much more proactive as far as like saving to prepare or to bring in assistance and things like that. Like you could even start before you even leave your corporate job. And then I see so many entrepreneurs that are terrified of tech that is so
Yes.
easy for you and I'm sure a bunch of people watching, that if you just want to be almost like Best Buy's Geek Squad and help people, there's plenty of opportunities if you just get out there and start networking.
I like it. I like it because, yeah, I don't afraid of learning tech because I'm a tech person. So that really helped us to be an entrepreneur. Thank you so much, Tami, to be here. Just last question. Do you have any website, program, or any freebie?
Yes. So I thought that with this audience, it'd be really great. I have a crush your comparison
Mm-hmm.
video challenge, just because as you're getting started, you tend to compare yourselves with all these other entrepreneurs. And so it just helps you refocus on playing your own game. And you can get to that if you go to TamiMcvay.com/job reinvented.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you said job reinvented?
Yes, I created a URL that'll take them right.
Oh, beautiful. Because my show name is Job Reinvented.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay.
For them to remember.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tami. And thank you for creating custom link for me and my audience. I really enjoy talking to you. This is going to be a specific show, special show for IT specialists.
Oh, great. Yes, I
Yeah.
enjoyed it so much. So thank
Yeah.
you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you.